Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to your Friday night Rabble here on the Rabble Network. I'm joined this evening with a stellar cast to discuss all things Rangers, which will probably mostly be discussing last night, because I believe there was a game on that was a bit eventful. Lewis, good evening. How are you?
I am not bad, mate. Good to be back on, and we've got a very, very interesting one for last night to discuss. So, looking forward to it.
Stuart, how's things over in Orby?
We're all good. I think our summer comes to an end sometime tomorrow when the rain arrives. But don't worry, we'll pass that over to Scotland on Sunday probably or something like that. But yeah, first one I've been on for about 2 weeks. So yeah, an eventful one to discuss, as Lewis said, plenty to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about weather, I don't know if either you saw the pictures yesterday morning from Bodo Glint's game. Previous to the game, did you catch the pictures of that? How the hell did they get that game on last night?
I don't know.
I don't know if you caught that, Stuart. Must have been about 2 feet of snow fell on Bodo overnight into Thursday morning. And
Wow.
UEFA said this game will go ahead, and it went ahead. They won 2-0. So fair play to them. They managed to completely clear the pitch.
Yeah. Was it condition orientated that it won 2-0, or were they just good to beat?
Oh, obviously, I didn't see it because I was at Ibrox. I didn't see it, but
Yeah.
I mean, having seen the pitch was in absolutely perfect condition.
Oh, very good.
I would imagine it would just be a bit cold, but I think, to be fair, I think they're dark horses to get to this final.
Mm-hmm. Good side.
Yeah. However, yeah, the group side there, or isn't it? Spurs, Frankfurt, themselves, and
Lazio.
Lazio, who they beat last night.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, good shout for that. Everybody would be probably saying a Bordeaux. Where am I going? See, I've been absolutely Bordeaux. Where did that even come from? No, your Bowden guys, and the mob we played last night, looking for the final. As we heard after the Fenerbahce game, do not be surprised if you get shafted, because UEFA want Athletic in the final. It's their stadium. It's a Spanish club, and last night was just. I'm dreading. If I can say it now, I'm dreading next week. Not because I'm dreading going there and how we're going to perform, but I reckon somewhere along that line next week we're getting shafted.
Right, I was gonna leave that till later on, but Lewis.
Okay, sorry, buddy.
That's all right. Stuart hit us with it early, so it was commented on to me with a couple of guys at half time last night at Ibrox that obviously we lost Robin Proper after 12 minutes, and we'll get to that. In Athletics' previous game, okay, it was their home game against Roma. Roma had a man sent off after 10 minutes. Are UEFA trying everything they can to make sure that Athletic get to final in their own ground?
Well, I'm not going to make comments that might lead to the Rabble being in any sort of trouble, but I think certainly the officiating team for last night, there's a lot of question marks around some of the decision makings. I mean, even decisions as small as one of the chances they had, the ball was miles out, was miles past the line, and the referee never caught it. And it was instances like that. I think it was an overall pretty poor officiating performance. I mean, VAR is incredibly overused at times. I mean, how can you look for one mistake, and then because that one mistake isn't there, you then look for two other mistakes in order to do your best for them to get a goal? Like, they only missed, the referee only made the error with the offside. That should have been the only thing that they checked. You don't then go and check, was it a handball for the Bilbao player, or was it a handball for Sterling? It was incredible. How we came out of that game with a draw is it's justice. That's exactly what I would call it. It's justice that we get away with a point last night, because we've had a lot of superlatives about this Bilbao team, and I was pretty disappointed, to be honest, and I think a draw was a fair result considering how the game panned out.
Yeah, Stuart, I was a bit disappointed in Bilbao last night as well. I expected more from them, if I'm perfectly honest. I expect more from them next week. I don't think I don't think they are as bad as they looked yesterday. Having said that, we played them really well. I thought off the ball we worked fantastically well yesterday. I mean, when Proper gets sent off, and Stuart, I'd like your opinion on the sending off. Do you think it was a red card? But once he gets sent off, I thought we worked extremely hard. The fullbacks were superb. Tavernier and Ridvan were absolutely immense. We questioned at the time why he took Ridvan off. Apparently he got a knock, so hopefully that's nothing too serious. Although UFD did okay when he came on, I guess. But Stuart, throw it back to you. Do you think it was a red card?
Well, if you're going by, as you've all said, the laws of the game, and if he missed that challenge and the boy was in the box, well, he has prevented not a clear cut opportunity. However, what confuses me with the rules is if it was inside the box, you get the penalty, but you only get booked. Because it was outside the box, he gets a red card. So I'm going to say I don't think it was, but I can understand why it was given. And then when I saw that they were looking at VAR, and I thought to myself, they're not looking for a penalty surely because it was outside the box. But then when I saw they were looking for a potential red card, I went, okay then. As soon as the referee went to the monitor, I said to myself, it's a penalty. They're getting this penalty kick. And as I said earlier there for the guys, it's chipping in. It's the law of the game. It's a penalty because you missed the ball, got the attacker, so he was preventing an opportunity to clear opportunity to shoot it goal. So yeah, we're going to say it was a penalty kick, but not a penalty kick, a red card, bit harsh, a harsh red card. If that happened before up the other end of the pitch, we probably could say, yeah, get him sent off. It's last man, etc., etc. So if we're going to say that, if a tackle was put on to Dessers or so, of course, then we're going to look at ours to say, yeah, okay, then we'll take that. It's a red card.
Yeah, Lewis, nearly making a comment that it wasn't a red card for him. Had Proper not caught him, and he skipped the challenge before he controlled the ball, he almost would have got him. I think it's a red card simply because he wiped the guy out, and if he got past Proper, he was shooting. I don't think he was going any further with the ball. I think he was just going to let it shot off. So by the laws of the game, for me it was a red card. But as Stuart said, and I'm sure you're reading my notes over my shoulder here, Stuart, because I've got double jeopardy written down here. Lewis had the Bilbao player take one more step and been wiped out in the box, it was a penalty, but it's not a red card. Surely that's an issue with the rules.
Aye, I mean it's why the many issues rules like that where a difference of like a metre or two can mean a penalty and no booting, and then a red card. It is pretty crazy, to be honest. I think I would probably just about lean on the side that it is a red card for the fact that it was a goal scoring opportunity. But my problem lies with if there's a couple of reasons why you're able to say that was not a red card in the first instance, then surely it shouldn't have been checked in the first place. Because there was a couple of players behind the ball to begin with, and you could argue, although I mean, he probably has gone towards the goal, but the direction that the Bilbao player is running is actually diagonally away from the goal. It's not as if he's bearing down onto the goal to shoot straight away, although he could have shot for that angle. So there was a couple of reasons that I maybe thought it was slightly harsh, and I know the rules are the rules, but that early in the game as well to make a decision like that, it just absolutely ruined the tie. But listen, it's certainly it's 100% Robin Proper's fault. I mean, we can sit here and argue about if the decision was correct or no. He's put himself in that position for that to be even questioned in the first place. And it was actually, if you look at the replay, a couple of moments before that, it's his slack pass. It's Robin Proper's slack pass that leads to that whole scenario. So it's his fault from start to finish. And Balogun missed the challenge, but Robin Proper had enough time to just even block the player. He didn't need to dive in. He could have just ran across him and tried to block the shot rather than just diving in aimless like that. And a guy who's like 31, 32, the experience that he has, it's a very, very amateur decision, and it's just further expounding the idea that this man is probably, in my short lifetime, one of the worst signings that Rangers have ever made. I think he's possibly the worst defender I've ever seen at the club in the last 15 odd years.
Right, Stuart, let's educate the young fella. What's centre halves we've signed? Go.
Oh, God. I'm going to go for who was it, man, who never played a game and he got injured coming off the bus?
Daniel Prodan.
Daniel Prodan. I'll go for him. Go for him. There's been others. Big Dave McPherson was a bit of a.
Oh, I'm not having that.
You're not having that one, Big,
Not
no?
having that.
Big
No,
Shirley.
not having that.
Not
Not
having that
having
one.
that.
Okay,
Not having
right.
that.
Lewis
But I
is
mean,
probably thinking, who the hell is Dave McPherson?
even not going that far back, you know what I mean? We had guys. We've had defenders playing in European finals that, quite frankly, shouldn't even be in Rangers teams. You know what I mean? You've Kirk Broadfield playing a European final for Rangers. I mean, come on. I mean, Proper's bad, but he's no Kirk Broadfield. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's very true. Very true.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a few names coming in here. There you go. There's Aaron. Senderos. Carl Svensson. I thought Svensson was okay. I thought Svensson was okay. Stone. Sharpie Stones agreeing with me. Big Slim was all right. Nice fella as well, to be fair.
What
And there's
about
Kevin Wilson saying
Kiernan?
stop slagging Proper, get behind him. I don't think we're slagging him. I just think that, well, look, okay, Lewis has got his opinion.
I'm flagging. I'm definitely flagging him.
I'm going to back him up.
Lewis is having a pop at him.
I'm going to back him up if you don't mind, then, Lewis. Right? I know we said that his ball across to Balogun was poor, but I'm thinking it looked worse because probably A, Balogun wasn't expecting to get that ball across to him, but B, most importantly, when you look at it again, Balogun is on his heels. He's no ready to react to the poor pass that came his way. So I'm going to give a little bit of fault to Balogun as well, of just not anticipating that potentially the ball was coming his way. So that takes a little bit of slack off the guy who says stop slagging Proper. So,
Right, but anyway, the general consensus: the red card was the right decision, but the law's wrong, if you like.
Yeah.
Talking about laws being wrong, and we'll just jump straight to it. Lewis, the penalty. Now, it's unquestionable the ball hit Sterling in the hand. Unquestionable, it brushes his hand. But surely that's not a clear and obvious error by a referee. It doesn't divert the direction the ball's going in. For me, it actually lands perfectly at the Bilbao player's foot because it comes off. So it's done them all the favours in the world, but they still get a penalty for it.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Like you said, it's actually helped Bilbao that it's hit off his hand. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. The ball wasn't going towards the net. It wasn't like Sterling's hand was in the road of the ball travelling towards the net. Sterling was across Liam Kelly. He was in front of Kelly. So the Bilbao player hit the ball towards nobody. There wasn't another Bilbao player even there. So how is that preventing a goal scoring opportunity? Because that's the only reason that a handball should be given if the player's hand is done by their side. Is as if the ball is travelling towards the goal, and it wasn't travelling towards the goal. And see, even if it was a decent penalty shout, it was like the third thing that they looked at. That wasn't the first thing that they noticed and the referee missed. It's not like if you notice one error that the refs made, you then get the chance to point out 17 other things. You should only be able to check the first thing that you think is a clear and obvious error. You don't then spend another 3, 4, 5 minutes looking at several different things, because that's obviously Bailey Rice's situation, but that also attributed to why there was so much added on time, and it's not great for a professional footballer to stay on a boot for like 5 to 10 minutes. And we've come out of this game with a couple of niggly injuries, so you don't know if that's what's attributed to this. It really needs improvement. It really, really does. I mean, we moan about it in our game, but sometimes you go to Europe and it's just as bad, if not worse. It's like when you go to Europe, they try too hard, whereas in Scotland they don't bother their arse half the time. I mean, to look for 3 separate incidents and then it's crazy. The ref he must have had Bilbao in his coat. There's the only way to explain.
Yeah, I mean, Stuart, for me, the frustrating thing for me talking about the VAR and all the different checks, obviously I was lucky enough to be at the game last night, and the 50,000 folk inside Ibrox didn't have a clue what they were checking. You know what I mean? I mean, my daughter had her phone out and she's getting all these messages. It was our group chat and there was all these other chats that she's in, and she said, it's offside. The boys are saying it's definitely offside. Then it came up on the screen, VAR check for handball. And she said to me, well, they're checking a handball against Sterling, but they're checking a handball against the Spanish guy as well. I actually told her to put her fucking phone away. Because we didn't know what was going on. Now, there's people paying, upwards of 50 quid for that game last night. And we, inside the ground, have not got a clue what's going on. Because as Lewis says, there's so many different VAR checks. Surely if it's offside, it's offside. You just get on with the game.
Yeah, totally agree with you. I actually, when the goal went in, I actually missed what happened immediately after that. So I just saw them then go to VAR and they did say potential handball. And I was at myself, well, potential handball for who? And how can you penalise a goal? All that stuff was going through. No, when they gave the penalty kick, I was, how can you penalise a goal? They've scored. Because I didn't at this stage know it was offside. And then, but quite right what Lewis and yourself is saying. They looked at one instant, couldn't find it. Look at another instant, couldn't find it. Looked at another incident, and then finally went, yeah, it's handball against Rangers, penalty. And I thought to myself, really? That's what I thought to myself, yeah, we're going to get shafted here somewhere along the line. And I'm thinking potentially they were, maybe hoping that they scored the penalty kick. We're then down to 10 men. Obviously, our heads go down, and then we need to open up, and then the two William lightning fast players do what they can do, and they score another 2 or 3, game finished, into the semi-final. But young Kelly, Alan McGregor's leg, or indeed, Jack Butland's leg in the previous round just gets that ball over the bar. And I was absolutely delighted for the young boy yesterday. I'm going to call him a young boy because he's a young boy to me. I thought he'd done absolutely fantastic yesterday. He took the game with the scruff and he said, I'm going to show I've got an opportunity here. I've got to take it. And I think he took it with both hands. That save, because so many goalkeepers would have tried to parry that from that corner kick, and potentially parrying it, it could have went drastically wrong, and it went straight to. They were Balboa striker quite close to him, so if he parried that, potentially it could have, for a good height for that player to go and grab it. But yeah, the save to go for the corner, the save from the corner, even Lewis, the save leading up before the offside goal was a good save. Then obviously the penalty save. Now I know we've already mentioned it. I'm not going to say this mob's not a good team, but you're not sitting fourth in La Liga for nothing. But I was, especially when we went down to 10 men so early on, and then the 12 minutes after at the end, I was actually delightfully in a nice way disappointed with them because I was expecting so much more. They were bummed up in the press. Jose Mourinho even said they're a different outfit. Unless they keep that for the home game. I know they've 15 goals they've conceded in the league this season, and I thought I'm rambling here. Sorry, I thought then before the game, I was saying to my brother and Kenny and all the rest of them saying, something, one chance. We may only get one chance in this game, and we've got to take it. Don't like getting the boy. Who did it fall to? Dessers' head. Where did it go? Row F. I was like, come on, son, that might be your last chance today. I know he had a good effort where he spun and hurt it with the left foot, but that was a difficult chance. The header's just a cross and a header. Put it on target, mate.
Yeah, right. I know we're jumping about all over the place here, but
sorry about that.
That's all right. But we'll just take it as the points come. Lewis, when you saw the team last night, what was your thoughts on it? Particularly, I mean, I'm guessing you were happy enough that Liam Kelly was in. Because even anybody that wasn't happy about it, I was going to say they were because of the performance he put in. But for me, the biggest surprise was that Dessers started, because that was the debate we were having before the game, before the team came out. Who does he play up front? Because we were all sort of convinced that Kelly would be in. It was when we all saw Dessers, I was like, collective, oh God, here we go again.
I mean, funnily enough, I don't know if you've seen it. Ian had sent in, a predicted lineup first, and I was quite buzzing to see that because it was much more attacking and much braver. But when the actual lineup came out, like you said, I was happy that Kelly got his chance because I think Jack's had enough times now where he's made many clangers and big games as well. It's not just small games. You even think it as recently as the Man United game. He doesn't make that mistake. We at least draw at Old Trafford. And he has his heroics in Fenerbahce, so it was a big decision for Barry to make, but I think it was the correct one, and it's certainly with hindsight is the correct one as well because Liam Kelly was outstanding. But the Dessler situation, I think it's starting to really get to everybody now. I think I just don't get it. I don't understand how three separate managers just can't see that this guy he's a good backup striker, and he's not a bad footballer, but he's not somebody that you can rely on week in, week out. We've got a 22-year-old Moroccan who, if you actually think about when his purple patch ended, it kind of coincided with when Dessers came back into the team. I mean, scoring a hat-trick at Fraserburgh really shouldn't mean that you're warranted a place back in that starting 11. And we've got one of the most naturally gifted young strikers we've seen at Rangers in a long time, sitting in the bench, who for the last few games has actually been playing quite well. He's put like a good 6 or 7 chances on a plate for that guy, and he's fluffed every single one of them. And like Stuart said, the one big chance that we had last night, it fell to him, and it went into Rosette, like you said. So it needs to be a man. It needs to be. It absolutely needs to be. We'll lose, I think, if Dessers starts. I think we need to start a man. And Dessers is still going to be useful next Thursday, but I want it to be off the bench. I don't want him to be the starting number 9.
Yep, Stuart, I tend to agree with that. I mean, my thought for last night would be starting a man. Tell him to run his legs off and then put Dessers on when the defence is stretched and the game's a bit tired. I mean, I would have brought Igman on at half time, given we were down to 10 men and under pressure, because he can take the ball and keep possession for you. He showed that when he did come on last night. He does keep possession of the ball. Dessers doesn't. The ball sort of bounces off him. So again, jumping forward to next Thursday, and I don't really like looking too far ahead. Would you be looking for the manager to stick with Dessers, put Igman in? Does he start Danilo? Does he pretend he's Craig Levine, not play a striker? What does he do?
Igman wins it next week. I know you said we don't like looking too much forward, but really Sunday means nothing.
We'll come on to Sunday, don't worry about that. There's no such thing as a nothing game.
Yep, I've got my wee brain working for Sunday already. But yeah, you mentioned earlier about, was it a surprise that Kelly started? Was it a surprise that Dessers started? My surprise was young Ray started, because I was expecting maybe a Lawrence or a Benrahma to sit in there, and then when I saw young Rice, I went, this will be interesting. And hats off to the fella. He done nothing wrong. Got that terrible knock in the face, but it was good to see that it may not be too serious, because he came on, I believe, at the end of the game. So hopefully, he gets another wee rest, and he could be, because Diamonde is back next week, he'll be probably on the bench next Thursday. But yeah, that was my surprise. Was Rice starting and not one of the more, if you want to call them, experienced midfielders.
Yeah, Lewis, for me, Bailey Rice was a surprise. And Stuart, I don't want to put your gas at a peep sort of thing, but I don't think Bailey Rice is anywhere near the squad for the next 2 or 3 weeks, because there's got to have to be, although it was a neck injury, there's got to be some sort of head knock protocols, concussion protocols. I'd be surprised if Bailey Rice is anywhere near the team the next 2 or 3 weeks, just because they have to be careful with him, because it was technically a head knock, although I think it was the back of his neck. But it was great to see, Lewis, that he, manager said after the game he was sitting up, he was talking to his teammates, he was on his feet. So that was nice to see, because it looked, I don't know what it looked like from the TV, but it looked a real bad one from the stand.
I think it actually looked a wee bit worse on the TV, because Rangers and they weren't showing anything surrounding the incident, so the cameras were just panning everywhere else in the stadium. And usually when that happens, it means that something pretty serious has occurred. But it was nice to see him, even when he was getting carried off. He was clapping the fans, so he was very much aware of the situation. But just talking about his performance, I mean, I don't think he looked anywhere out of place. I actually think, it was probably the right decision to play him rather than Connor Barron and bring Barron on, when the game's tired, because he's a like Connor Barron is one of the last footballers on planet Earth you would want to come up against when you've got tired legs, because he doesn't stop running. Whereas with Bailey in there, he's a lot more composed on the ball, and it's not just side to side backwards; it's passing forward, and it's just a shame that we never really got to see him to his full potential last night, because he just had to become a dog. Him and Raskin just couldn't. There was so little for them today. I mean, even in the first 12 minutes, it was hard because Bilbao were playing with like four straight across the middle, and Raskin and Rice were sitting in behind that line on their own. And it would have been nice to see how that would have played out with 11 against 11. But it certainly showed, I think, the current manager and hopefully the future manager that this boy at 18 and how good he looks physically as well. Like, he is somebody that we need to invest a lot of time and development into, because he looks like he could be a really good player. And he looks to me like a Stephen Davis replacement. And I really didn't think we would see something like that as soon as this. But if he's to be what I think he's going to be and what everybody else at Rangers perceives him to be, then I think we've got a really, really big talent in the hands.
Yep, right. While you're bringing up the talent that is Bailey Rice, and I agree, he's an absolutely fantastic talent. I'll come straight back to you, Lewis. We were saying last night as well that, as we were talking about earlier on, the farce that is the way they use VAR. In my opinion, and feel free to disagree with me, I think it was the current offside rules that cost him the injury. Because when we went through, it was clearly offside, and the linesman didn't flag until the ball got kicked clear. And because the ball got kicked clear, he challenged for the ball, and he got the injury as a result of that. Then it was a free kick for offside. Surely, if it's clearly offside, put the bloody flag up, and then things like that don't happen.
No, exactly right. I mean, I just said this to my dad earlier. That needs to really be stamped out of the game, because there is a lot of instances where a very late flag happens, and within the time of that bit of play, somebody goes down injured, and it's not fair. It really isn't fair. The main job of any official in a football match is to protect the players, and that is not protecting the players. That is, allowing them to believe that the play should continue, and then if something bad happens and then you put a flag up, that bit of play should never have happened in the first place. So that's something that definitely needs to be looked at and altered.
Yeah, Stuart, are you of similar opinion? Did you notice that? Did you even notice that last night? I don't know. Obviously I haven't seen the TV footage. I don't know whether that would have come through on the television or not. But that, to me, is the way I saw it. That because the flag didn't go up till later, the ball got kicked clear, and obviously he's got a challenge for the ball, and he ended up getting injured because of it.
I'll be 100% honest. I missed the whole thing. When I think I was obviously texting my brother in Cyprus or whatever, and by the time I then looked up, as Lewis said, the camera was panning all around the ground. That's when I realised, something's up here. So I never saw the challenge as it actually happened. So no, I'd be lying if I said, it was because of the offside, continue playing scenario. But I did notice shortly after that, there were another occasion where a Bilbao player was offside, and he was running towards the ball, and the Rangers player, I don't know what it might have been, Sterling or Balogun or whatever, and he was coming towards the ball as well, and that could have ended up, I think, at the same time both players pulled out, or one of the players pulled out, and that again could have been one of the tackles, Lewis, that it was avoidable if the flag went up and the game stopped. I think it's going to take an injury to someone for them to change the rules and say, right, that's a really pathetic rule. When it's offside, put the flag up. Then again, VAR can look at it. By all means, I don't know. But yeah, get the flag up.
I think, Lewis, to put some more flesh on that point, I think it's going to take a serious injury to a big name player from a top 5 big club for them to even look at that rule.
It would take something massive. because it's been an issue ever since VAR came into the game. That's like 6 or 7, maybe not as long as that, but it's a few years now. So I think you're right. I think it would take quite a serious injury to one of the bigger players in the game for them to take notice.
And talking about serious injuries, Stuart, again to jump towards the back end of the game, we're halfway through 12 minutes of stoppage time. We had a bit of a debate in the Carcamark Road about how far into stoppage time it was that we went down to 9 men because Sterling went off injured. I thought it was 2 or 3 minutes from the end. It was 5 minutes from the end of stoppage time, so it was halfway through it. It just seemed very, very innocuous. And next thing, the place stopped, and Sterling ends up leaving. And we've since heard that he's done his Achilles, and in the manager's own words, it's a bad one.
Yeah, I mean, when the incident happened again, it didn't look as if it was a bad twist. When the camera sort of they'd done the replay and zoomed in, it didn't look that much of where you say, "Oh, that's a bad one." It's one of the obnoxious things where you think to yourself, 5 minutes to go, you can run that off potentially. But obviously that wasn't the case, and I feel for the boy because the boy is a player, but because of the a bit like Roof, Roof would have went probably be away and beyond if he wasn't plasticine or made of glass, and it's looking this way for Sterling. Great player, he's got the potential to go as far as this young lad wants to go, but his injuries and his constant injuries will prevent him and stop him going to a really good level of the game. It's a shame, as I said, but how many is that? Is that 6, 7 injuries he's had with us already? Round about that number. So maybe it's his body. He's just the contact stuff, etc.
Lewis. He seems to be one of these players that he's a really good player. To me, he's got the injury record of Kemar Roof. And the same sort of thing as Ryan Jack, that he's really good at what he does, plays the position really well, but his body's not built to play the amount of football that you need to play at Rangers. I mean, Sterling would possibly do a lot better playing with a team that you don't have to win every week. You're not playing every 3 or 4 days. You know what I mean? Because it does appear, particularly if his Achilles is gone, that's a difficult one to repair properly. So with the injury record that he's got, I would say it's probably it is really going to affect his career. I would think so. I don't think he come back too well from that.
No, there's obviously something in the physiology of his body. It's that, like you said, Kamal Roof and Brian Jack, like exact same. Some people just aren't the built for the sport. Despite the talent they've got. I mean, even you look at Arjen Robben, Gareth Bale, for example, 2 recent examples, 2 absolute world class legendary footballers that missed, upwards of 200 games in their career, and it's just that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Unfortunately, some people are built for it, some people aren't, and it's just a shame that we've had. It's a bit of a consistent theme with some of our recent signings in the last decade where we have these players that you can see the talent is there. Like Dujon Sterling is a very talented football player, and he's actually a really talented athlete as well. And I think that might be also a problem. You look at somebody like Reece James for Chelsea, he's got a similar issue. It might be today with how actually fast and strong he is, the explosiveness of how he plays football is what is causing the injuries. And it's a shame because this guy should have been our right back for the last couple of seasons. I mean, the captain, I actually think has been pretty underrated this season. I actually think Tav's been pretty damn good this year, especially defensively. I mean, he was up against. Sorry for the diversion, but just have to mention. I mean, Nico Williams is one of the most sought after young wingers in world football. Talking upwards of £100 million for this guy, and he only got past our 33-year-old right back one time, and there was about 15 occasions where they were 1-1 with each other. But look, that shouldn't even happen. It should be Dujon Sterling out there, and it hasn't been. I mean, even Casemiro as well. Looking back to he's like the forgotten man. I mean, it's just the last couple of right backs we've had. They're made of glass. Kamar Roof made of glass. Ryan Jack made of glass, and they're all good football players. It's just a shame. Maybe it's something in the scouting that we need to look at. There needs to be a deeper dive in the the injury record in players before they come here. I know you can take a risk here and there, but there's too many. You're on mute, Wolf.
I am, yes. Just really sorry about that. Stuart, I think it's I think it's what we like to call the Bert Conterman rule. Because Bert Conterman was never injured, but all the good players around the were always bloody injured. We seem to have that with most of our players. You know, the ones that we don't want injured are always injured. But I mean, looking again, go back to looking at the team lineup last night. When we saw what the team was, and Lewis touched on how well Tav played last night. I thought Tav was my man of the match last night. Although obviously Liam Kelly's got to run him close for the saves that he made. But were you surprised that Tav was at right back? Because I expected him to start at right centre halfway with Sterling out looking after Nico Williams.
Was that not how it started? And did Tav not go out to his normal position when we went for it there back after the red card? That's how it looked to me. No, and the football knowledge what I have, I may be completely wrong, but that's what it looked to me. That after the sending off, we went to the back four, and that's where Tavernier went out to the right. So that's what I saw. But yeah, I thought, there's a lot of our fans slate Tavernier and of what he's done and what he doesn't do. I thought last night he was really, really good, really, really good. As well, a lot of the players I thought, but I think the early sending off actually took any match plan that was supposed to happen out the window. And that disappointed me because I wanted to see how well Cerny may have done against his fullback. I liked to have seen the midfield battle with Raskin, and again see how Hadji done out in the left. I just never it wasn't allowed because of that red card to explode into that kind of football game, because quite rightly so. We then pushed back and went, something. It's going to be a long night, so let's just see if we can do a Walter Smith and keep ourselves in the game for the second leg, and that's what we done last night. Wasn't pretty, but we're in the game.
Yeah, I mean, Lewis, Stuart's right. It completely. I mean, the early sending off completely changed the way any sort of game plan we had. Now, I'm not particularly a master tactician. I just like to see Rangers win games of football. I don't care how we do it. But you're from the young team, you know about all these sort of things. So a lot of pressure on you here. I thought we off the ball we were fantastic last night. We let them have the ball. We do the 10 men. We let them have the ball, and then we press the space. And well, that's the way I read it. I mean, I don't know. I say you're the young guy that knows about all these things. So was I right? Was I right in what I saw?
Aye, spot on. I mean, we were very efficient, and we were very, very good defensively, but we were very intelligent. When we decided to press, because you get your press wrong when you've got a man down and you're against an opposition like that. It just takes one move to cut us open, and I think you look at the first half, the full game statistics are pretty misleading. I mean, it's like 72% possession, and they had like almost triple the amount of passes, and I think they had like 18 more shots, something like that. But the first half statistics, considering we spent over half an hour of that half with one less player, they only edged us out in possession by like 10%, maybe 15%. And they didn't have a lot of chances. And see, when they did have chances, they weren't quality chances. They had very, very little quality chances where you should say, oh, they should score there, other than the chance they actually did score, and it ended up being offside. And to contain a team like that, who, I mean, everybody's talked them up to be the absolute favourites. They finished second in the group stages on goal difference in the full competition leading up to this. It's massive. It's absolutely massive. I mean, even before the game, we're missing two of our most important players in Europe, and Suter and Diamande. So I think this performance needs to give Rangers a lot of hope getting into next week. I don't think this Bilbao team are anywhere near some of the best outfits we've played, even in the last 3 or 4 years. I really, really don't. On that run to Seville, I think there's at least 3 teams in there that were better than this Bilbao team. And if we've got a fully fit squad and nobody gets sent off in the first 10 minutes again, it should be It should be a slightly easier task to try and unravel this team. But listen, they also won't be as bad. They'll improve as well. So it's still going to take a lot for this Rangers side.
Yeah, I mean, Stuart, I know Ian Thompson says we were fantastic off the ball last night. Well, like a lot of top teams these days, lack of clinical finish in and around the box. I think that's absolutely spot on. I mean, as Louis said, they had loads and loads of shots, but they were all going high wide and not very handsome. I thought up front Bilbao were very, very disappointing last night. I don't know if they had a striker out or if that was their main man that was up there. They didn't really offer a lot. I think Leo Kelly made 2 or 3 really good saves, but given that we were a man down for effectively 90 minutes, given the 12 minutes at the end, going forward, Bilbao were really, really disappointing.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it earlier on that he had the save he put over the bar for the corner. He had the save from the corner, and then he had the save, leading up to the offside goal that led to the penalty kick. So other than that, I can't remember a save that you just said last night. Oh, good one, because that was going in. That was getting close to the goal. So I think, obviously, top of my head, 3 saves that was goal bound. So yeah, think of that. One of the guys away back about half an hour ago, I think, had mentioned there about when we were talking about Sterling going off. And then one of the guys mentioned there about, do we not have 5 substitutes in European games? But all 5 were used up to that point. So we never had anybody else to come on. Because I was sitting watching the game last night as well and saying, are we not bringing somebody on? And then I started to count them: Barami, McCausland, etc. And we've used the 5. And I don't know if there's some rule to say that if you've used all 5 substitutions and there's an injury to one of your players, can he be replaced? I don't know if that's factual or what, off the top of my head.
It's only if it's a concussion injury, if it's like
Right.
if one of your substitutions caused a concussion injury. I mean, I couldn't remember how many players we brought on, but I knew we did 3 stoppages in play for substitutions, so I didn't even try and count back the subs, because we were all questioning it as well. And I said, look, we've made our 3 breaks in play, if you like, so it doesn't matter how many we've brought on. Even if we've got one left, we can't bring them on. So, but before I finish on the game last night and turn to Sunday, because we are actually playing a game on Sunday, which a lot of people seem to forget about. Something I noticed from the highlights that I saw, I didn't realise that Alec Ray was part of the TV panel last night, and I noticed when the Rangers players finished warming up and they were running back up the tunnel, Alec Ray was going back into his position trackside to do the camera work. And every single Rangers player went up to Alec Ray and gave him a hug and gave him a cuddle. I mean, Sherney even chased after him as he almost went live to give him a cuddle. Lewis, does that tell you what they all thought of Alec Ray? I mean, we all questioned what Alec Ray was doing, when he was part of the management team, when he was in there as first team coach. But that last night showed me that at least all the players had a bit of respect for the man.
No, I didn't even notice that myself. Obviously, seen on the TV, you probably wouldn't have seen that, but it's nice to hear, because he's obviously a Rangers man, and I think that was probably his role in the coaching team. To be honest, I don't think it was for his coaching abilities. I think it was more for his links to the club and his knowledge of the Scottish game. And dare I say, if he wasn't there, the decline of Philip Clement's Rangers side might have been a lot worse, and it might have happened a lot more quickly if that was the case, if you didn't have anybody connected with the club, because he was probably the only link between Rangers and their players. So no, that's nice to hear. I didn't see that, so that was a good spot.
Yeah, I caught it on I saw the UEFA highlights earlier, and I caught it on that. Ian, any update on the rumours that the referee last night won't be doing I don't think the referee last night would have been doing the return leg anyway, because that's not usually how it works. There is some stuff in the media saying, kicked about in the media saying that one of the UEFA Observer guys have said he won't be refereeing any more European games this season. But there's not that many left for him to referee anyway, and he was terrible last night, so I wouldn't expect him to get it. There was also another comment that, from Paul McGonigal. What made me mention how great the fans were last night. I don't like blowing my own trumpet, but I was one of those fans last night, and I thought that the support were what the support always are at Ibrox on a Thursday. It was the place was absolutely jumping. I'm sure that came through well on the television. I'm sure your certain area at East Belfast was rocking as well.
We were delighted But the good thing, I mean, the noise that came through the TV was just, a noise you expect in the European nights. I'll say that. And one of the parts where the the zip line camera that goes across and down, the noise that you heard when that camera was going down the zip line made you goosebumps coming on your body. Say, oh, wish I was there, wish I was there. But if I can, a little bit of negative about it, it was good to see there were no silly banners and stuff like that. It was just plain old fashioned noise. Song, noise. I just wish they would learn all the words to a certain song, which they don't know. But however,
Yep, and I know the song you mean. It's actually, believe it or not, it's one of my missus's favourite songs. Although
one of
she's
the
not,
best. One of the
she's
best.
not even those. It is a fabulous song,
Yeah.
and it's not. The words aren't even difficult. I don't know why they don't know it. But Lewis, as Brian says, how good was the tifo? I mean, the Union Bears get an awful lot of criticism, but their tifos are fantastic. That last night was just something special. It was exceptional.
Aye, it was amazing. The Union Bears certainly did get a lot of deserved criticism, mind you, but Ibrox wouldn't be the same without them. It's they're a massive part of why that stadium creates the best atmosphere on earth, and I wholeheartedly believe that there's no stadium on the planet that comes close to Ibrox on a European night, and I'm including the two Argentine sides who are probably the two closest. The yellow wall, Anfield, nothing compares to Ibrox on a European night. I mean, just to hark back to the second leg against Leipzig, is the best atmosphere I've ever seen in a sporting event. I think it's incredible, and it's just exciting that we've got a chance here to recreate that. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but there's a lot of similarities with this season and that season. Underperforming in the league, manager changes, the team underperforming, players being here too long that probably should be leaving, one last hurrah, underdogs the full journey. It's just that there's a lot of similarities, and I'm hoping that we can get to another Europa League final, and it's also in Spain as well. So hopefully we can correct the wrong that we made back in 2022.
Yeah, sure. As Lewis says, a lot of similarities. 1972, we were in Spain. We won a European trophy. We won nothing domestically. Weren't particularly good in the league. Say 2022 got to a European final in Spain. Weren't very good domestically. And look where we are now. There is an awful lot of similarities. And we'll just try not to get too far ahead of ourselves. But as Lewis says, the ducks are all lining up. This could be going the way we want it to.
Yeah, maybe this time when we go to Spain for a cup final, we might get some water to drink.
Yeah, we might do, but I know from booking flights for next week, Bilbao's not the easiest place to get to, so be prepared for plane stays and automobiles job if we do get there.
Yeah.
But one more thing on last night before I get to Aberdeen, I was a bit surprised, Stuart, when I saw the bench that Mason Munn wasn't on the bench and young Ryden Maguire was on the bench. That surprised me a little bit. I mean, no, you're probably not going to need one reserve goalie, never mind two. But a fantastic night to put a 16-year-old laddie on the bench. What an experience it must have been for him, particularly when you consider that a little over 18 hours later, the same Ryden Maguire was in goal for the under 18s against St Mirren.
Yeah, that's dedication for you, and that's a lad that wants to learn the trade. As he doesn't mind if he's getting sitting on the bench, getting educated, being around the first team, and then the following time is getting back to, if you want, back to earth, and doing what he does for his normal job. But when I looked at the bench, I must admit I thought it's interesting, and then I read it again, and they were again not the greatest of options only when you talk about McCausland and Ben Rami and stuff like that. But there were options there if, again, the sending off didn't work. There were options there to go on and do something different. But yeah, I think potentially we're going to go on to Sunday. It'll be a complete and utter different team on Sunday, and I've got my ideas behind it.
Right, well, you've got your ideas. So has Aaron. Aaron's put his team in, Lewis. This is Aaron's team for Sunday up here at Pataudry. Kelly, Tavernier, Proper, Inciala, Yefty, Diamonde, Lawrence, McCausland, Bajrami, Cortez, and Danilo. Pick that apart.
Who's going first? Me or you, Lewis?
Well, Lewis can have it.
Yep.
Aye. I mean, it's a similar idea to what I would be doing. I would be resting as many players as possible, and only really playing the guys that I would have in mind for Thursday if it's absolutely necessary that they play, like Tav, who needs to play probably both games, because we don't have anybody else for that position now. And guys that I have in mind for Thursday that maybe haven't played in the last couple of games, like Inciala, who I would be playing next Thursday. I would like to see him get some minutes. You know, I'll be pretty vocal about. I don't want to be too critical about it because it's a hard gig he's got. But I think one of the worst decisions he's made so far was in the Kilmarnock game, or was it Dundee? I can't remember what game it was, but he decided to sacrifice Inciala over Robin Proper. And listen, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but I was saying when that decision made, it was the wrong one. I think Inciala still to me is got a lot of potential. The ability he showed in that position at this age is extremely rare. You do not see centre backs performing under the age of 23, really. It is a very, very rare thing to see. So this is a guy that I would like to invest more time and development into. Clinton Inciala. I think he's got a big future at Rangers and in the game in general. And I would be playing him to get him some minutes because I would have an eye for him on Thursday. And I'm perfectly happy with the rest of that team because I don't think a lot of the guys, other than maybe Diamande, would be getting a start next Thursday.
Stuart, are you similar thoughts to Lewis? Is that something along the lines that you were thinking about?
100%. And the reason why I'm saying this, and folk will probably go. So the other half of the City playing Saturday get 3 points. So I don't even mind going to Aberdeen, losing to Aberdeen, and just giving me because they're going to get it the week after anyway. And the reason why I'm saying that, with that kind of team there, what Aaron has put up and what Lewis has discussed, is also keep a platform of probably Diamande, Jeffy, Tav and Kelly will play on Thursday. Keep the rest free. Don't go and get a rest for a week. So you're looking at you're Raskin, your Barons. Might be tempted there, Lewis, to give Big Shooter maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, just to get some minutes under his leg there, but no the full game. And I would hate to think that he'd play the likes of Raskin and co, and Aberdeen do what Aberdeen does, and before you know it, Raskin can't play on Thursday because he's injured or things like that. Yeah, I don't really. I mean it in the nicest way. I don't really care about getting beaten Sunday. I just want to win on Thursday, and we can only win on Thursday with our biggest team.
I'm going to completely disagree with you. I really, really mind if we get beaten Sunday because winning breeds winning. We'll have to start winning games again. And also, I've got to live with these bastards up here, right? But the other thing that for the travelling Rangers support, right? The main reason I think we have to win on Sunday, and I only thought about it when I was having my tea earlier on when I was thinking about the pod tonight, right? As you say, Celtic win on Saturday. If we drop anything on Sunday, that hands in the title. I don't want Rangers supporters buses heading back south, having to drive through them partying because they won the league, because they'll be out in force all over Glasgow, all over the Central Belt. We'll have supporters buses getting back and having to drive through and see all that shite. I won't see it. I'm up here. I won't see any of that, right? But I don't want our support to have to suffer that. So let them win it under their own steam. Don't win it for them. Let them win it under, because they're going to win it. It's only a matter of time, right? Let them win it under their own steam, right? I don't really care when they win it because they're going to. But if you're telling me that we have to basically play the B team to protect players for Thursday, I'm okay with that, irrespective of how Sunday turns out, because Thursday is much, much, much more important.
Yeah, that's what I was meaning.
Yeah, I know. But Lewis, the big thing here for me, right, is that us having the potential to get to a European semi-final is massive for Scottish football, right? Should the league be trying to do us a favour and say, look, we'll squeeze that Aberdeen game in a spare midweek sometime in May. Just have the weekend off, lads.
I mean, they should. They definitely should. I mean, every other league in Europe, bar maybe, the top 5 leagues in Europe, which, to be perfectly honest, they shouldn't be given that that luxury because they've got the finances to make their squad big enough that shouldn't affect them. But somebody like Rangers, who, let's be honest, right? Let's be perfectly honest, we've been severely underperforming domestically for the last decade and a half, right? But in Europe, we're the only reason that Scotland is actually even thought of. Celtic have done nothing in like 20 years in Europe. Rangers, even just in the last 5 years, I've seen it in the comments, since 2017, we've climbed 224 places in the coefficient. To think where we came from and where we are now, and the likes of the opponents that we've beat to get to some of these latter stages in these competitions, and to be in the top 30 of the UEFA club rankings despite not even playing in the Champions League bar one season, is absolutely tremendous. There's very few teams that, I think there's like seven defeats at Ibrox and like 60 odd games in the Europa League since we came back up. I mean, that's tremendous. You really will struggle to find a better performing side in this competition than Rangers in the last 5 to 6 seasons. So the SPL should be doing absolutely everything in their power to help us, but they won't because it's too difficult for them. It means they would actually need to do their job. They just like getting by with the absolute bare minimum, and Rangers will just need to do the impossible again.
Yeah, absolutely, Stuart. I mean, I think I 100% wholeheartedly agree with that. They didn't help us in 2008 when we seem to play a game every 10 minutes, so they're certainly not going to help us now, despite the fact it's going to helping us is ultimately going to help Scottish football, who, if they haven't, in case they've missed it, are falling down the UEFA rankings very, very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even add anything that Lewis has said because I agree with absolutely everything what he said. But let's not forget how much this media bummed that lot up because they nearly took Bayern Munich to extra time. Nearly, wow, right? But they made that a big, massive thing. As Lewis says, they've done absolutely sweet FA for about 20 plus years. It's only because their bank balance looks slightly better than mine, right? Because we gave them 120 million of Champions League money. They haven't earned that. We've gave it to them because of our performances in Europe. And it went, yeah, okay, then the Scottish winners can go straight to the group stages. Boom, Celtic. Oh, the Scottish winners can go to the group stages. Boom, right, Celtic. We've gave them that money. And I'm going to say that when we get our house in situ, win this Europa League, go straight to the Champions League final. They've got a qualifier to play, which, if you remember, I think one of the last times where they played a qualifier, they got, I think it was under Gordon Strachan, they got absolutely stuffed by some, I don't know what they were called, Red Blint or whatever they were called. So we've got that Champions League money. We do 2 in a row, we get that Champions League money. Very, very shortly, in a couple of years' time, their biscuit tin comes back out. That's what I think. And hopefully it all comes to fruition and true.
Yeah, love the positivity, Stuart. Absolutely love the positivity. So we're going to leave it there, folks. That's an hour almost up. We're concentrating a bit more on last night than I thought we would, but it's probably the most important thing right now is the Europa League. I mean, yes, we all want to win on Sunday, apart from Stuart. But I know what you mean. I know what you mean. We obviously all want to win. The Rangers we want to win, but I mean, if the let's all be honest with each other. If not throwing's the wrong word, but if playing a weekend side on Sunday helps us get through on Thursday, I'm all for it. 100% all for it.
How better would it be to play that weekend side and still beat Aberdeen?
That would be very, very nice because they're not all that either. But let's remember
we should be able to field a second string side and still beat everybody else in this league.
Correct, and that's the problem. We haven't been. That's why we're 13 points behind, despite the fact we beat them twice.
Yeah.
Anyway, on that note, we will be back over the weekend. Random Rabble's back tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock on the Rabble Network. I've got no idea who's on it. For a change, it isn't me. So, and obviously we'll have all the match day stuff. We'll have the watch along from Pataudry as well. I might make an appearance on the reaction if I get back in time, and I'm only 10 minutes from the ground, so I probably should get back in time. Depends how it goes. If we get beat, I'll be nowhere near the reaction because I'll be in the huff. But Stuart, thank you very much indeed. Lewis, always a pleasure, my friend. Everybody in the comments, thanks a lot. Sorry I didn't put too many of the comments up, but I can't read and talk at the same time because I'm an old fella. And we'll catch you all again over the weekend at some point.